So in this video, I'm going to briefly explain the process by which or what happens when you go into no contact too long, right? When you've outlasted what the avoidant expects from you. And they expect certain metrics from you, 8 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is for them. Now, what it's going to be for them is subjective to them. But they know that they have a track record of bad relationships, and that's typically as much awareness as they have, right? And so they do have some sense that like what they're doing isn't healthy, but it's the only way they know how to be. And so when you go into no contact with them and they have a set, idea of how and when and where you're going to come back, and you challenge that belief by not reaching out to them, not engaging with them, not checking their social media, none of that. You've completely disengaged. It really starts to challenge their narrative. And the narrative is, and typically in the beginning, they're going to double down on that. This wasn't the right relationship for me. If it was the right relationship, it would have just been easy. There would have never been any conflict. I'm doing the right thing. This is better for both of us. I'm doing them a favor. They're probably happier without me. They just kind of double down into that narrative. But eventually, that strategy fails. And when that fails, that is when they typically start looking over the fence and checking on you, right? But they still won't reach out. Why? Because they still have that deep shame wound and they still feel broken. But what you may see is that they will start to check. And, when you guys come to me and you say, well, they never cared, they were just, sociopathic and they're narcissists and all this. They're not narcissistic. They're not sociopathic. They do care. Evidenced by the fact that my ex, my most recent ex, the other Brazilian ex, not the fearful avoidant, but this one was the dismissive one, the one that between the two of them, I would have never guessed that she would have come back, let alone feel anything. But she told me that the things that I had said, to try and cite all the examples of how and where she hurt me and why she was a horrible person. And this is all before I became a coach and was trained on all this stuff. She's like, I'm not going to read that. Well, she read it and it actually did affect her. And she did admit to me that like, you actually hurt me with the things that you said. And it's like, well, why didn't you tell me that? But they can't. They just don't know how, right? Especially in the moment when they're triggered and activated. Now, that said, typically they'll double down on their narratives, but after a while that will fade. And then it'll challenge this belief system that the way that they're showing up is the way that you need to be. And the way that you need to be keeps them safe. And that's when they typically start looking and creeping on your social media. Now, that is not incentive for you to reach out. What that means is they're curious. But what they're trying to do is get their need met for connection, but without risking any of the vulnerability. So you cannot reach out because you're going to break all your progress. And remember, no contact is not for them. It's not a strategy to get them back. It is for you to really get clear on how and why you got into this situation with someone who's emotionally unavailable, and where you went wrong and how you can prevent that in the future. This is not to try and get them back, but I just want to give you guys some clarity on what's going on and give you guys some peace so that it wasn't about you. So I hope that helps. And again, eventually they will typically reach out. Now, will they always reach out? No, not always. But most of the time, if there was a real connection, yes, they will reach out. And when they do, typically they're going to breadcrumb you. So you have to watch out for that and you have to vet for that. So I've talked about how to handle that in other videos, but if you need more help on this, go ahead and book a call with me one-on-one and I can guide you through the entire process. And to be clear, my coaching is about helping you become more secure so that these feelings that you have about the ex, the way you are attracted to people who are emotionally unavailable, you're going to be able to heal all of those things. And in essence, you're going to make all of those things irrelevant because you're going to become more secure and you're going to have that peace that you haven't had before. And you're going to start showing up differently. When you do that, you're going to attract new people who are healthier, who are secure, who will love you, who won't abandon you, who can hold your love, who know how to love you properly. And that's what you really want. You don't want this broken person who doesn't know how to love, right? Now, that said, I will see you guys on the next video.